Seth Taylor.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
I guess you just have to hold it.
Well, just hold it. Here we are at the park in Bellevue, and you are launching. Tell me what you got going on with Triple X Church over there.
Well, we're doing a huge launch of My Pilgrimage. It's been out there for a while, but we've been kind of niche marketing it.
Right.
But right now we are out there and we're blasting it to the world. And it's right now available. It's only available till the 20th. This is the last time we're going to sell it this year. Because it's a package deal that has an online. We do it online small groups as a part of a book, guidebook, film series, whole thing. And because of the small group element to it, we have to register those things, and there's an actual thing that we run. So we can't just sell it
as one big thing, right?
Yeah.
This is the last big push for that.
Yeah, for this year. We'll sell it again next year. But right now, if you want it, it's available.
Right.
And it's right there, mypilgrimage.com.
And this is me, Russ Shaw. For whatever it's worth, I'm the professional, unprofessional. I have no degrees or magna cum laude, mocha, freaking cappuccino degrees about me, but I have been around this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
I've done the podcast for going on 11 years now.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of guests on the show, and just from...
We should get you an honorary degree. Because you deserve one.
Just from sheer, research and understanding of not just addiction and compulsive behavior, but well-being, which is really at the root and the heart of this.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I don't usually do this. Like every time I've had an author on the show, I go, you know what, dude? I'm more interested in you and who wrote this or made this material than I am your material. Like I'm not a book salesman. I've always said that in the podcast. But I am endorsing Seth Taylor. I'm endorsing My Pilgrimage as a real, viable, not just a way to stop jerking off to porn or, stop with your whatever compulsive behavior that's jacking with your marriage.
Yeah.
But, you go into elements of love addiction, which is really, it's the relational aspect to this is so important.
Yeah.
Our relationship with God as creator, as father, as not just this sky fairy trying to, that we just pray and hope things are for the best, but a real tangible relationship spiritually with God.
Well, and beyond father, our relationship with God as mother, our relationship with God, which is a mirror of our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
And, what we're trying to do is heal the soul.
Exactly.
And use our spirits to do it. We're trying to teach people to walk in the spirit. We're asking people to do, because it's not about porn. We've been doing this a long time. Him and I have been doing this a long time. It's not about porn. If you're doing porn, it's not about the porn. The porn is medicine. That's all it is.
It's anesthetic.
And it's a unique type of medicine. It's meeting a unique need.
Yeah.
It is us walking around in our wounded younger selves trying to find a way to get our needs met.
Yeah.
And that is not something to be ashamed
nakedly
of.
Too. There's the naked aspect of it. The fact that we don't necessarily share that with everyone. We don't want everyone knowing about it.
Right.
Makes it different than like smoking, or drinking, or chewing your fingernails. I don't know. There's a element of relationship and nakedness and vulnerability and intimacy about it that. Anyway.
Well, and it's because it's their deepest need, man. It's at the core.
Yeah.
The need to know and be known, love and be loved, and connect to ourselves at the deepest, most intimate root. And it's one of those things where it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to have compassion on. We'll be able to have compassion on ourselves. Be able to have compassion for what we're trying to accomplish in such a poor way.
Yeah.
So what I'm hoping to do is show people how to walk in the spirit in a way that can heal that part of them. And I always tell them, it's not that hard. When you heal the wound, you don't need the medicine, and you will feel that shift inside your body. Immediately you're like, I don't understand, but I just don't need it like I did.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's kind of a miraculous thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Walking in the Spirit is different than kind of outward in obedience, because you hear a lot of Christians who use the word obedience, like you just need to be obedient. Well, obedient to who? Right. Because if you've set up this God and designed this God who demands your obedience, that's not a relationship. That's more of a law enforcement.
It's law. And it's a weird thing. The entire New Testament's about dealing with that. Paul's writing is about dealing with that. Going at what point? And that's the thing is that's why I said the question is when you say who are we obeying? Which construct? Which reading of Scripture? Who is God? Because everyone's God seems to be a little bit different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you and me were raised with a God that hates you and doesn't ever want you to have money.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
some people's God like wants you to have $1 million, you know. Some people's got like all these different God constructs that we create in our image because we need it to survive. And the reality is that the spiritual journey is a journey into the unknown.
Right.
I mean, God is actually Yahweh, the ineffable, the thing that is deeply mystery. We should be moving deeper and deeper into that,
right,
into the unknown, and just loosening our grip on things, you know.
Yeah, so getting into that, and that's that relational spirit space, that we're actually communing, we're actually in the presence of God, rather than just, you know, going through a systematic kind of, I don't know, like exercise of religion. It feels like it works, doesn't it? Like some of that stuff feels like it works, and it does short term, right?
I never felt it though. I could see it work. Feel.
Yeah,
like that was
like dieting.
That's why we call my book "Feels Like Redemption."
Feels like redemption.
At some point, we should do something that feels good.
Yeah,
there should be something where we go, I just feel different. I could see. I was going, if I was sober for 3 months, I'd be like, well, yeah, I didn't look at porn for 3 months. Good job. Why don't I feel any different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why do I still feel? And then you still feel the little, you know, that thing in there going, oh, well, you know, she's just on the other side of that screen. She's waiting for you. You know, it's like it has a voice in there.
It's there.
And when you when you change that kind of, you and I would call it consciousness, right? There's a different level of consciousness you get to where you start to recognize that voice and go, wait, this isn't helping, this isn't solving it. Because for me, you know, getting off the porn, Seth, and still struggling with my ADHD, which is really mania, which is depression, right? Inside out kind of depression. Going to a therapist for the last, when I first interviewed you, I was, the stuff you're talking about is the stuff that I've been exercising that's been working with my therapist, you know? And it's seen as Eastern by most Christians.
Right.
But
yeah, well, it's funny because Christianity is an Eastern religion.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We act like some white guy came up with it on the West Coast in 1963 or something like that.
That's right.
It's like it was born in the East, and it's the East because in the East, I mean, in ancient Christians, like we're talking about, you know, for the first 5, 6, 7, 800 years, they were looking at it going, well, of course it has to be experienced.
Right.
And it's true, it can be experienced. If it's true, if it's real, it doesn't have to be believed in. It can be experienced. And so somehow we, you know, like we had, you'll love this. I'm gonna tell you a story. So yesterday, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee on my pilgrimage. We're that confident in it. And we also understand that's kind of a gift to the fundamentalists, because someone's gonna get it and they're gonna read it and they go, wait a minute.
They're gonna try and pick it apart.
Right. People will buy it where all they're looking to do, they're not looking to be free of anything. They're looking to find another thing to affirm their own current belief systems.
Right.
And we had somebody buy it, and then it was a married couple, and they bought it, and then they sent us an email back right away, like the first day, like we want our money back. And then the questions that we asked them are, how far into it did you get? It said, we watched one video and skimmed the book. And then it said, reasons for returning this. And they said, it's not a biblical approach. It doesn't eradicate sin. And Jesus, and then they came up with this is weird. It's like, God does not want us talking to the dead, and that was an odd thing. And
What?
I know, because we were, you know, my brother and I were dealing with some pain around our father's death,
right?
And there was some experience there, and it's fascinating because then they said we're looking for a biblical Jesus loving approach, and I'm just sitting there going, wow, that's the weirdest thing, because you can read a review, you can read the reviews on Amazon, you can see for every person that's like that, there's 3 people that said, I've never experienced God with this type of love, this type of depth, this type of truth. And you start to realize, so we gave a 30-day money back guarantee so that the fundamentalists, once they realize we're actually dealing with something that's going to cause you to grow, it's going to cause you to confront your pain, it's going to cause you to deal with your belief systems and how they failed you, it's going to cause you to actually face God, you know, then, you know, because we're adamant, we know that the fundamentalists don't want that. They want to go back to their God construct and pretend
I think that's one of the things that I've always had. I've had a passion for too, is because those folks, and Paul Young too, man, my conversations with Paul Young, he's like, those are my people. He says they're hard, they're bitter. He says, but they're so imprisoned, and they're so, you know, using that consciousness word again, there's an unconsciousness to that kind of thinking, that if you realize that it's not working, that you still have that porn mistress on the other side of the screen that keeps calling you, and you keep returning to it like the proverb serves like a dog to his vomit. When you realize that that's what you're actually doing. See, that's where God is being compassionate with your kind of material, is that it's realizing the real relational aspect to it rather than the systematic shoulds and ought tos.
When
It's just the law, right?
It's respecting your choice as a human being.
It is.
If you want to eat your vomit, you can.
Yeah.
We're free.
Yeah.
In Philippians, when Paul says that all things are permissible.
Yeah.
In Christ, all things are permissible, though not all things are beneficial.
Not all things are beneficial.
Not beneficial.
That's right. And that's another definition of sin.
Right.
We don't like the word sin. A lot of folks who, the usual Seattle liberal Christian doesn't like the word sin. The fundamentalists, they use the word sin, right?
That's
but
everything.
really what it is, it's a break in the construct. Sin is I mean, it's like your friend. You tell this story in the book of your friend who says he's totally comfortable with his porn habit because he has way higher sex drive than his wife can handle.
Right.
And he believes he has grace.
Right.
And you kind of take some time to go into the beauty of the fact that he believes that grace is there for him, but it's still a toxic relationship that he has with the porn.
That's what he wants, and he's got his narrative,
right?
And he's got his thing. But when we talk about the idea that where sin rises, grace rises higher.
Yeah.
That's, for 2 Corinthians 12, right?
Yeah.
That idea, and he's simply going, yeah. But the loss isn't a loss of God's love, and it's certainly not a loss of heaven.
Yeah.
It's a loss of an experience that he could have
Exactly.
in his life.
A sexual right? The orgasm inside you and your spouse.
And his own connection to his deep, deep soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're talking about something that is a bit of a mystery, and most people want to. I mean, sex is a mystery that you can go into deeper and deeper and deeper. The question is, what do you want? It's the only question that matters. What do you want?
Yeah.
And this question goes with everything. It's not just sex. It's everything we medicate on. It's abundance. It's the way we live our lives. It's joy.
Right.
And so I don't know. What we're trying to do is just lead people in.
Yeah, we're not defining sin differently, guys like you and I. We're the Seattle liberal guys. There was something my friend said that is beautiful. My friend John, he said that the more I follow Jesus, the more I piss off my conservative friends and my liberal friends, right? Like I'm too liberal for my conservative friends, too conservative for my liberal friends. Right. And what we're talking about, again, the definition of that word sin is basically, the psychologists have it, right? Dysfunction, disorder, addiction. These are modern definitions of the word sin, and that's what we're after.
Well, I look at it as
it's not we're redefining it. That's what it is.
It's a gap in consciousness. Everyone's doing the best they can.
Yeah.
Everyone. If you commit a sin, some part of you is doing that because some part of you believes it will get what it needs.
Yeah.
It's flat out that. And some people go, sin is sin. That's the favorite statement of fundamentalists because they have a God construct that's going to just take your head off. The reality is God. I think the voice of the Spirit is constantly speaking to us. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? You can have it. Jesus was talking about that all the time.
Yeah.
And so sin is just not helpful to think of it in moral terms. It's simply not helpful.
Yeah.
When we think about it in terms of consciousness, okay. So someone keeps doing this thing over and over again, like Paul said, right? I keep doing the things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
The things I hate, I do. Well, but the things I do want to do, I don't. But he's asking this deep question and he's asking why. Why can't I see this? It's about your sight.
Yeah.
Jesus blessed people's sight, not their holiness.
Yeah.
He didn't bless their morality. He blessed their ability to see. He blessed Peter. It's Peter, who do you say that I am?
Yeah.
The Son of God. And he says, it's the Holy Spirit that is showing you this.
Yeah.
Right? He's not saying, he's blessing his sight. Like the thief on the cross.
Yeah.
He's not saying, you're better than that guy. He's saying, you saw.
Yeah.
And that is a blessed thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the whole thing, is what we're trying to do is show people how to see. And it starts with getting your gaze off the external and looking inward.
Yeah.
Where Jesus said the kingdom of God resides.
It's a totally different set of eyes that Jesus was talking about.
Right.
It's funny how in philosophical, there's some guy that came out recently, and it's weird how hyper intellectuals are taking this seriously. And basically, I don't know if you've heard this news story, but what they're saying is that we are living in the Matrix. That there's a good argument for the fact. They're saying that this could be fact, that we're all in some kind of computer simulation.
Well, we are at some level, right?
Right, we are. But it's funny, and I think that's just another way of looking at the spirits and this physical world that we all live in.
Well, it's like if you reference the Matrix. So the Matrix is built on about 5 or 6 different philosophers, 18th, 19th century philosophers that were questioning the nature of reality. And even quantum physics is diving into that space where they're saying it seems like reality is actually a creation of our own processes.
Exactly. Yeah.
We create. It's like Rob Bell said, right? We shape our gods, and then our gods shape us. And so, and spiritual teachers have been teaching this forever. They're just simply saying, whatever you think, you can create. And so the question is, what are we thinking here? And then what are we thinking here? And then what are we thinking here? Because we're thinking at multiple levels.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is why we do the things we hate.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, what
our appetites are driven by a different set of
when you and I talk
consciousness,
about this all the time, Russ and I become good friends, okay? Because him and I, a lot of it's our discussions around money. Because we were both raised with poverty stuff, right?
After years of being away from the porn thing, we're like, there's this other thing.
And
it's this thing.
It's way, for
and
me,
it's got us stuck. It's like, that's our stuck thing, right?
And for me, it was way harder than porn.
Yeah.
It was way harder than porn because I had this internal God inside me that every time I say, I really want to live that way, or I want to be able to do that, I had this thing inside me going, no.
Yeah.
And then I'd ask it why, and it'd say, you don't deserve it. And that was an internalized thing within my body. And my whole goal was, how do I change the thinking of whatever that is?
Yeah.
I can change it in my brain, no problem. I can sit there and create whatever I want in my brain. But how do I change that voice?
Yeah.
Because some part of me thinks different.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some part of me thinks that I don't deserve it. I don't deserve love. I don't deserve a good sex life. I don't deserve money. I don't deserve prosperity. I don't deserve abundance. I don't deserve joy. I don't deserve any of the peace that is supposed to pass understand.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my whole thing is, how do we switch that thinking? And that has to be through spiritual means.
Yeah. And being content with the journey along the way.
Sure.
That's one of the things that I learned, and it's going through the whole Mars the Hill thing, and the way that thing kind of fell apart and deconstructed. The beauty of that, one of the biggest things I learned is going through the 10 Commandments. I listened to John Frame. I actually did a whole season of the podcast. Season 2 is, I believe it's season 2, is the Decalogue. So I was inspired by John Frame, who was teaching on the 10 Commandments at some seminary, theological reform seminary. And I was also inspired by Good Charlotte's punk rock album, kind of pop punk album, The Chronicles of Life and Death. So those two things inspired me to do but the last one, it was the last one, Seth, that really got me. I did the most shows on the 10th commandment, which was basically this: don't be in want for your brother's stuff, right? Be content with what you have. But that's not, and I used to think that means you should just be content with being poor,
right,
or your lot in life, or whatever it is. But that's not what it's saying. It's saying be content with the journey along the way, with whatever God has for you.
Well, and if
as you process.
If you can't feel content, ask why.
Yeah.
Seek out the answer to that. Why can't I be content?
Yeah, that's good.
Because there's something there. There's a wound there. There's energy there. There's something in there to help most people I see them, I go, it's because we're surviving. We've got all this energy dedicated to surviving. Because you can't be content if you're a survivor.
That's right.
You can't. Because what if you don't have any money?
Yeah.
You can't possibly be content with that.
That's right.
I lived for years with 0 or less.
Right.
And I did it because I'm going to go into the parts of me that's freaking out. I'm going to go into those things and I'm going to heal those wounds, because if I'm ever going to be somebody who can produce just commerce, produce creativity, produce, bounty, to use a
right.
world. If I'm going to do that, then I have to deal with those parts of me that are only here to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that ego level, that monkey brain, that lizard thing,
right,
to use some evolutionary biology kind of philosophy. Yeah, or
monkey brain's
Eastern.
Buddha.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's the thing. We're trying to heal those parts of us. And when you face money and porn, it's really not that different.
Yeah.
They're both dealing with desire in some way.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where they're different. I think it's different kinds of medicine for different kind of wounds, but money becomes a really, really good false narrative. Pornography is a false narrative. It's a story, and the best part of it about it is this girl just going, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man, you're the man.
Yeah.
And you're going, yes,
I'll accept you.
I'll accept. You are wanted, you are loved, you are this,
you're
you are
needed.
that.
I'll never turn you away. And it has a relational ties in that, right?
And it plugs into those deep things inside of us. Money's the same way. When I was making $10 an hour at Starbucks, for $10 an hour at Starbucks, working 20 hours a week, I got a loan and bought a $50,000 SUV.
See?
That's
America.
I called it the Ego Mobile.
The Ego Mobile.
And I remember pulling up in this, I've never told the story publicly. I pulled up in a Starbucks in my Ego Mobile, and I heard my ego go, now they're going to see how successful you are.
That's right.
They'll see just how successful and how rich you are. And I'm going, wait a minute. And I'm literally listening to that narrative being said, like I can feel it in my brain, this narrative.
Right.
I'm going, wait, hold on, I'm not any of those things.
Yeah.
I work at Starbucks for $10 an hour. You know what I mean?
Right.
I was like, and I was doing that on purpose so that I could create that tension. I was going, I'm going to be poor intentionally, so that I can listen to my ego, and then you call it out. You go, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Wow.
What is giving you the authority to create that narrative? Because I will not live through that. I'm going to get to the point where sweeping floors for $10 an hour and getting ordered around by kids half my age is something that I can actually find a gift somewhere in that.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this therapeutic
Beauty
work.
of processing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm doing therapeutic work the whole time.
I heard a guy on a TED Talk, and I forget his name, dang it, but he's had a great talk about homeostasis. So it is the science of, he did a talk called The Science of Happiness. He did some other stuff about the movement of time. As human beings, one of the things that they found in this behavioral science is that we don't like the movement of time. We think that we're stasis. We want to keep, there's something in our ego that wants to keep everything the same, and it's very powerful. And there's something to the fact that we know that we're moving, that time is constantly rolling forward, that the present, he used this metaphor of waves on a beach. Like there's no wall between the water and the sand. It's just water and sand. And that's how our life is playing out. We are moving through time, and we're not static. And you can change. You are changing. I've said this from the beginning of starting this podcast, Seth. This thing that, people can't change, you're just kind of the way you are. No, that's not true. We are changing. You are changing every day. And as we've been recording this, if you've been hearing construction noise, it's because in the background, things are changing. There's a construction crew right behind us here. And maybe we should come back and maybe revisit.
Look at that beautiful tree.
I know, right? Right back there? Maybe we should come back, revisit this 5 years from now, and do some more talk on this.
That's a good idea.
And whenever that is,
my hair will
over
be
there,
gone and you'll have some. That's how much it's going to change.
I don't know. I like this look. At least in the winter, it's not
we
so
can
good.
change. All it requires is curiosity and courage.
That's
if
right.
We've got the curiosity about why we can't change and the courage to go into that tension, you can be anything you want.
That's right. Change your world. mypilgrimage.com, right?
mypilgrimage.com.
SethAllenTaylor.com.
It's available for 5 more days.
5 more days
this year.
This will be up very soon.
And it will change your life forever.
It will.
Forever. Yeah.
And if you have enough, take some courage, right? Because some of the stuff you're saying,
Take some curiosity and some courage.
If you've been raised in church, there's some stuff in there that's going to raise an eyebrow or two, and it should.
Sure,
it should.
Absolutely.
So
we have to confront that part of us.
Yeah, that's right. The fear.
But any fundamentalist, if you just want to keep with the same narrative and pretend it keeps working, that's okay. That's totally fine.
Maybe you can write your own deal when it does work, if it ever does.
That's why we got the
I've been
30-day
doing this for
money back.
10 years. I've had multiple guests on the show. I can't even count how many guests I've had on the show. This, what this guy wrote, this is working.
It's working.
My pilgrimage. There you go. I don't usually endorse stuff, but here I am because it works.
I'll give him the money later.
He's not paying me nothing. We're both flat broke as we stand here, but hey.
Flat broken happy.
That's right. Flat broken happy.
I don't work at Starbucks
with the journey.
anymore, I don't work at Starbucks anymore.
Yeah. All right. Later.